And welcome to this week's edition of Hit the Pacecar. And won't be a big show because we are in the off season. I did say I was going to do this every other week, but with the news that we've had and the stuff that we've had come out over the last couple of days, over the last six days, maybe at this point, around a week at this point, we've had a bunch of emails and documents and stuff leaked between Steve O'Donnell, Steve Phelps, and Brian Herbst, amongst other people. And we will talk about all that in a minute. But of course, I am joined, as always, by the Pacecar boys of Cory and Tyler. Cory, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Another day alive is another good day.
Yeah, another day, and Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, an early Thanksgiving wish. And some of you are probably watching this on Thanksgiving. Most of you are actually probably watching this way after Thanksgiving, but happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, nonetheless. And then, of course, I am joined by Tyler. Tyler, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. Finally, some blue skies up in Arizona after a week and a half in rain.
Yeah, it's been crazy. We've had a lot of rain recently. It's been kind of weird for Arizona. I've been calling Phoenix Portland the last couple of weeks. Last couple of months, really. It's been a lot more rain than usual in Phoenix and in the area. Probably one of the most wet seasons I've seen since I've moved here a couple years ago. But yeah, it's clear. It's clearing up a little bit now, and it's beginning to get a little colder out. So I'll have to see how the holidays go, and hopefully everybody does have a good holiday. But let's get into some NASCAR chatter. Like I said, we don't have a whole bunch to talk about. We are going to talk about the Steves. We are going to talk about them. But I do want to talk with Tyler and Cory about the Bristol test that we had around a week and a half ago, I think, a little over a week and a half ago. We had Ryan Preece out there, and he had some comments on the Dale Jr. download about the horsepower, about the removal of the diffuser even. I was very interested in hearing his comments. I finally took a listen a little earlier today on his comments, and it sounded like to me that honestly the horsepower didn't make a very big difference. It sounded like with the cars, he didn't really notice that there was no diffuser. The tires were probably the number one thing he talked about. It seemed like the longer run was something that was affected potentially by the horsepower. Tyler, what were your thoughts on Mr. Preece's comments?
Seemed more like if it was a long run situation, you might feel a little bit of a difference. I mean, tires definitely made some difference, but definitely not hearing that we're going to be sounding like it's going to be anything crazy coming through with this.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the 750 horsepower is going to make a huge difference, but at the same time, it was only 3 cars out there at max at any given time. So I'm interested to see how it maybe does around a bigger group of cars. I know they have a North Wilkesboro test coming up soon. I'm not sure how many cars are participating in that. I might have to try to figure that out. But I know they have a test coming up for that, and they'll probably do some more stuff, testing out the horsepower, testing out different types of tires. So very interesting stuff. But Cory, what were your thoughts on Rocket Man Ryan Preece's comments on the horsepower?
Not surprising. I think everyone thought when it went from 670 to 750 that it wasn't that big of a leap, but it was still
There's
progress.
something, yeah.
So as long as he's saying that there's some difference in the tires and it's just progress, and any steps even if it's a baby step, it's a step in the right direction. So hopefully it acts even worse when there's more cars on the track at once.
Yeah, I would agree. I really hope we see some good racing when it comes to this horsepower package. My big thing is I just don't want the leader to have such a big advantage on everybody. That's just kind of always been my thing. It's just, I mean, the leader always has an advantage, always has the clean air and everything, but it's more of an advantage now than it ever has been when it comes to NASCAR having that clean air. You can be on really old tires and just hold the lead just by creating a bunch of dirty air behind you. So I'm hoping they're able to at least help with that a little bit, the ability to make passes a little bit. And you were talking, Tyler, about the ability on the long run before we went live, the ability on the long run. And I think that's very interesting, the long run, because I think that creates potential comers and goers. But that's also Goodyear's deal, too. I think Goodyear are doing a lot of work to create that sort of racing. And once again, I applaud Goodyear because Goodyear works really, really hard. And I do like that they are at least trying this with the horsepower. Like you said, Cory, it's a very small jump, but at least it's something, and something is better than nothing. And if we see at least maybe a small increase in how the racing is, like better racing, just a slight increase on better racing when it comes to this increase of horsepower, then maybe we see even a bigger increase in horsepower down the road. Not exactly sure, but we'll have to see what comes of all of this. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, in the replies. What are your thoughts on Ryan Preece's comments on the Dale Jr. download about the Bristol test? Okay, now that we have chatted about that, let's move on to the meaty part of this episode of Hit the Pace Car. An emergency meeting, I would kind of call this episode of Hit the Pace Car, because we were planning on doing this every other week with it being in the off season, but with everything that's been chattered about the last couple of days with the messages between O'Donnell, Phelps, Herbst, and a lot of other people as well. The talk about Richard Childress saying he should be taken out back and flogged or whatever, and calling him an idiot. And it's me and Tyler, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I've been very upfront about my thoughts on Richard Childress on this show on Hit the Pace Car. That I like his passion for the sport. He doesn't always say the greatest things. He doesn't always do the best things, but he has more of a passion for NASCAR than potentially any owner. He's literally there every weekend. Unless something's up with his health or something crazy's going on, he's there every single weekend. No owner does that. The only owners that do that are Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. That's because they're in the race car. And you were saying, Tyler, that Dale Jr. isn't even there every single weekend. Richard Childress has such a passion for the sport. He's been in the sport since the 60s. He's been a driver. He's been an owner. And he also was the owner of, in my opinion, the GOAT, Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator. So honestly, I find it really disrespectful, really fucked up by the Steves. I'm not happy with the way the Steves are talking about him. Brian Herbst, I'm not really happy with the way any of these people are talking about him. I have heard that Richard Childress is looking into taking legal action. He did put out a statement that he is potentially looking into taking legal action on this. I don't know if he really has a leg to stand on, because these are private messages. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a lawyer, but we'll have to see. It's definitely going to at least bring a lot of attention. Like, NASCAR is almost like front page news at this point when it comes to a lot of the sports world, but for all the wrong reasons right now, which is unfortunate. But Tyler, we were talking a little bit about it yesterday. What are your thoughts on the Steves, these comments, and everything with Richard Childress?
And it's absolutely crazy. I think Kenny Wallace is the best one to put
Yep.
it the best way so far, and that's that everybody behind the scenes is straight up just motherfucking everybody. And that is some of the wildest
I didn't even get to the
thing
Denny
I think
stuff.
we've ever seen. No, like it's wild. Like, this Steve stuff is like, yeah, we all knew they had opinions about everybody, and they all had like not the greatest opinions, but this is turning into just absolutely just carnage. Some absolute carnage.
Like this,
Like you said, there's no other owner that's there every week. Not even Dale Jr. is there every week.
that's the thing I love about Richard Childress. Like, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of them because of how, like, they're family, so I understand it. That's why I don't get too mad at them about it when it comes to Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon, and really making sure they have jobs in this sport and all that. And some of the things he says are out of line. Some of the things he does are out of line. But I have so much respect for Richard Childress. He's been around forever. There's no one in the sport that probably has more passion for the sport itself and wanting to see it do well than Richard Childress. I could make that. I would make that argument all day. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think there's probably anybody in the sport that has more passion and more drive for the sport to have success than Richard Childress himself. And just to have that sort of disrespect and to be talked about in that sort of sense is messed up. And then just everything else as well, just the way they're talking about SRX, like, that's that's the nail in the coffin. I'd say that's the smoking gun right there. They were completely threatened by SRX and everything going on with SRX, worried about SRX ratings compared to trucks and Xfinity. Well, promote trucks and Xfinity. Talk to Fox, do some work actually, and try to promote your sport instead of being so upset about SRX and bringing in Chase Elliott and bringing in Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin and they were so upset about these owners and popular drivers being involved in SRX. Tyler, before we get to Cory on this, what are your thoughts on the SRX stuff when it comes to this whole portion of that?
So, like you just said, that's the smoking gun or the smoking smoke, if you want to put it,
Yeah.
because there's no way in hell Tony Stewart doesn't have something to say about all that. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. He left in the weirdest way already, and then they're turning around trying to attack the series that he's majorly part of. Like, all of it's very, very interesting. Like, I can't wait to see how the rest of these emails turn out, because if this is just the top of what we're seeing, I can't believe the things we're not seeing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And they're just like so open in these text messages. Like some of these people that are talking in these text messages and emails are like super smart individuals, and they're just out there talking about it and just really like just sound they sound like the dumb rednecks. Like they are the ones that sound like the dumb rednecks to me when it comes to reading these things. It's crazy to me, the disrespect to Richard Childress, everything talked about with SRX. Cory, what are your thoughts on all this? This is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Man, I don't know where to start. Like you guys kind of talked over a lot of it, but it's just like it's very frustrating because I feel like NASCAR and racing in general is supposed to be like the least drama in all of sports. And right now, I think we lead everyone everywhere in drama. And it's like not good drama. It's just the worst of the worst that it could be. Like, you don't see owners being talked about in other sports like this. Like, you don't see drama where the league is straight up shitting on diehard owners and people that have been part of the sport for so long, and just seeing all of that be leaked out in a court case and being talked about and coming to light, it just shows how much disrespect is behind the scenes. And that's, like Tyler said, just the cream of the crop. That's just, we're just getting started. Like, you know what I mean? There's no jury. There's no, like, this is just pre-trial, really. It's all barely getting started. So it's going to get nasty. It's just sad to see because, like, they tried, like, the thing is, like, we can't feel bad for NASCAR at all because if we remember how all this started, they sent the email out. You had 24 hours to respond or you lose your charters. That's what this all started on, and then they started a lawsuit. We just got to remember that. But man, dude, it's just sad. NASCAR's really shotting themselves in the foot, and each text message that comes out, that injury gets more critical.
Yeah, it's insane. There's gonna be a lot of change ups. Like, we've talked to Kirk, Sparky Superfan, and a couple other people about it. Brian over at Sparky Superfan as well. And I think Kirk said it. I don't know if he said it to you. I mean, to our chat, or if he just sent it to me. But I would agree that maybe someone like Ben Kennedy maybe stands up, and Ben Kennedy is potentially not innocent in all this either, which is something very interesting because I'm a big fan of Ben Kennedy. He might not be innocent in all of this either. He was involved in some of these messages as well. But with him being part of the France family, I could very well see him becoming the president or becoming the commissioner or becoming some sort of higher up when it comes to NASCAR. It's There's gonna be a lot of changes. I don't expect to see either of the Steves back next year, in my opinion. I don't really want either of them back. I'm not interested in having either of them back. I wish I said something, and I wish I knew about this when I met Steve Phelps back at Pocono. That would have been cool. I met Steve Phelps back at Pocono, took a picture with him. Seemed like a nice guy, and overall, he probably is a nice guy. but I don't know if these people have NASCAR's best interest, in my opinion. I guess we'll end it on that. Tyler, I guess I'll start with you on this. Do you believe that the Steves should keep their jobs, or maybe get a warning, a little slap on the wrist, or something? What do you think?
Nah, the Steves have to go at this point. Like, you can't keep them and expect to be treated seriously at this point by anybody. They have to go. The fans aren't happy. The owners aren't happy. The drivers think they're a joke. Like, they got to go. Sorry. Like, it's the end. Sucks to suck because we thought we were getting something good out of these guys. Like, we thought something good was happening, and it definitely is not.
Yeah, and Steve Phelps just got named the first commissioner of NASCAR a couple of months ago, and he's been around for a while. And I was like, this is cool. And I felt like Steve Phelps had a real had best interest for the sport. And maybe they do. Maybe these text messages are obviously just really bad comments on their part. Maybe under that they have the best interest for NASCAR. But at this point, I don't trust these individuals to be higher ups in NASCAR. I look at them as suits, and suits should not be running NASCAR, in my opinion. NASCAR should be ran by racers and people that have had lives in racing. That's just my opinion on that. I don't think they should have these suits doing these things. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because, like I said, they seem like both nice guys, but I don't think either of them should keep their job. And I think if either one of them kept their jobs, I think it would look horrible on NASCAR as a whole. Yeah, I think it would just look horrible on NASCAR as a whole to keep either one of them in their positions that they're currently in. Cory, what are your thoughts on all this? Do you think the Steves got to go? You think there's like a warning for them, or what do you think?
I mean, not to piggyback off what you guys just said, but I 100% agree with what you guys just said. So, like, I don't know how they come back from this. And like Tyler said, they not like there was bad blood, but no one really respected him in the first place. So now, and then honestly, I think every fan and everyone in the sport would like to have diehard racers in positions like that. So, yeah, that's my whole opinion on that. So I think they have to go too.
Yeah, I think it's time that we move on from these two. It's just crazy because these are two of like some of the highest highest individuals in our sport, in NASCAR, and they're both. It's going to be two big holes that have to be filled in the higher ups of the organization, and I do think Ben Kennedy is a potential suitor for one of those two jobs. And maybe he uses all of this as a lesson, because I don't think Ben Kennedy should necessarily be fired, but I definitely think he should get a certain talking to or something, or have to make some sort of apology statement or something like that, because he's the least guilty out of the four people. And I don't even know who this Brian Herbst guy really is. This is the first time I ever really heard or seen his name, to be honest with you. I don't think I've heard his name. I looked it up immediately. I was like, is he related to Riley Herbst? And he was like, nope. The internet said no, he was not related to Riley Herbst. But I think those three are the most guilty in all of this right now. Not necessarily breaking any laws. And like I said before, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think Richard Childress necessarily has a leg to stand on when it comes to taking this into the law's hands. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm wrong about that. We'll have to see. But it's crazy. This is some crazy stuff going on in NASCAR right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the replies. Your thoughts on the Steves, Steve O'Donnell, Steve Phelps, our commissioner, our president of NASCAR. What do you think of these two individuals? Do you think they should stay in the sport? You think this should be a warning to them? You think they should have to put out a statement? Well, what do you necessarily think should happen to these two guys? And what do you overall think about the emails and the messages that were sent between them and Ben Kennedy, Brian Herbst, a couple other people as well, when it comes to SRX? So we didn't really talk too much about the Denny Hamlin stuff, and Denny Hamlin and Curtis Polk, how Curtis Polk apparently might hate Denny Hamlin. It sounds like Denny Hamlin not getting the right treatment potentially over there. But what are your thoughts on all the messages that have been leaked between all these individuals? All right, so that will, like I said, it was going to be a quick show. Hit the pace car. I would call this Hit the Pace Car emergency meeting. And the emergency meeting was about the story of the Steves. A very short episode, roughly around a 20-minute episode here. But let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about today when it came to the Bristol test and when it came to the Steves. And for Tyler and for Cory, I'm Trackside Larry. And we'll see you next week, potentially. Maybe the week after that. We'll have to see. Just keep an eye out. Peace.